Artemis II launched. 4 humans are headed towards the moon. 6 humans walked on the lunar surface between 1969 and 1972. We've done this before and we're doing it again.
The rocket launched. I watched it. I'm not disputing the launch. I am disputing where it went, and I have been disputing that about every mission that came before it. Humans never left Earth, and I'm dying on that hill.
Then let's settle this right.
The mission is to shine the light into the darkness.
Artemis II is live right now. SpaceX is weeks away from the largest IPO in history. The space economy is being built in real time. If humans have never left low Earth orbit, then the entire foundation of that sector is a story we are telling ourselves.
And if humans never left Earth, and we are about to invest trillions of dollars into missions built on that assumption, that is the most important financial question nobody on Wall Street is asking.
We are asking today. Let's start with what cannot be faked. The retroreflectors. Panels placed on the lunar surface during Apollo mission. Scientists around the world, including in countries that have every political reason to expose a hoax, bounce lasers off of them every single day and measure the exact distance to the moon. You cannot fake a physical object on the moon.
The retroreflectors exist. I agree. The question is, who placed them there? Robotic missions were already landing on the moon before Apollo 11.
The isotopic ratios match lunar meteorites that landed on Earth naturally and match nothing found in Earth geology.
The presence of humans.
How about the lunar sample? 842 pounds of moon rock brought back across 6 missions.
NASA gets reference samples provided by NASA, using labs that had access to NASA's own baseline data. There is no truly independent verification chain because the original sample runs through a single institution with every reason to confirm authenticity. That's not a conspiracy, that's a structural problem with the verification process.
Soviet Union tracked every Apollo mission in real time with the most advanced space monitoring equipment on Earth. They had the most to gain from exposing hoax at the height of the Cold War, but they said nothing. Their silence is the most powerful, independent confirmation that exists.
The Soviet Union was negotiating back-channel deals with Nixon administration through Kissinger at the exact same time. The geopolitical calculus of exposure was more complicated than it appears. Mutual silence served both sides.
Here's what I keep coming back to. 400,000 people worked on Apollo. Engineers, physicists, contractors, manufacturers across hundreds of companies. The coordination required to maintain a deception at that scale across that many people for 60 years with 0 credible whistleblowers is a logistical impossibility.
Well, the circle of people who would need to actively know it was staged is much smaller than 400,000. Compartmentalization means you have hundreds of thousands of people building real components for a real rocket that goes up and comes back down without any of them knowing what happened in between. That's standard operational security.
Here's my deepest argument, and it has nothing to do with retroreflectors or radiation belts. Human beings looked up at the moon for 200,000 years and decided to go there. We built the math, the physics, the engineering, and the will to do it in less than a decade. That is what we are. We are the species that decides something is impossible and then does it anyways. Saying we faked it is a failure of imagination about what humans are capable of.
That's fair, but here's my argument. Look at what humans can actually do naturally. We breathe this air, we drink this water, we grow food from soil. Our bodies regulate temperature in this climate. Our eyes are calibrated for this light. Our lungs work at this atmospheric pressure. Every single system in the human body is precisely tuned for life on this planet, not adapted to it over time, designed for it. There's a difference.
Evolution produced that over millions of years. That is not design.
Sure, but explain why the moment you take a human body outside of this planet's atmosphere, every single system begins to fail simultaneously. Bone density drops, muscle mass deteriorates, fluid shifts towards the brain, vision degrades, the cardiovascular system weakens, the immune system becomes unpredictable. Every biological process that works perfectly on Earth breaks down the moment you leave it. That's not an organism that evolved to explore the universe. That's an organism that was built for one specific environment and cannot function outside of it.
Here's where I land. I believe humans walked on the moon. I believe Artemis II is exactly where they say it is. And I believe the space economy being built right now is an interesting investment opportunity over the next 20 years. The infrastructure is real, or it's starting to be. The trajectory is real, and the destination is real.
I believe the rocket launch too, and I do believe the space economy is investable at the infrastructure atmosphere layer below the radiation belt. Starlink works, Rocket Lab works. Those are real businesses solving real problems with the boundary humans were built for. I just don't believe we left Earth. Bull, tell me why you can't agree with me that we've never left this planet.
I mean, whether we have or not, you said that we never will, or that we're not built to leave it. And I think that's what I just don't agree on, is because there's tons of things that we're not built to do that we've done. Like every day, there's thousands of flights that go around the world. Like humans were built with wings, but we use technology to put us in the sky in an environment that's not good for us. Or how about all the people in the Navy who are on submarines 24/7 for months at a time? Low-key, I think there's enough evidence to say we've been to space, and there's enough technology that we use in our everyday life to say we've been to space. But Bear, I'll give you a chance to respond.
There's more research and things behind us going than us not going, right? Because we have people actively pursuing going there. We have rockets that have actually went into the sky, which I believe all of that. But I just don't believe we were ever meant to leave this planet. One, I think that the stratosphere is an actual barrier. I think also there's different levels of, I don't want to say space, but just higher levels of elevation on this planet. And I definitely think we went high up in the sky and went to very high elevations, but I think once you hit a certain point, there's a stratosphere that's, if you research it, has a ridiculous amount of heat that can burn almost anything. We've seen things that have burnt by trying to go through it. But yeah, no,
that happens on Reentry. That's one of the biggest issues, is that they have to make these massive heat shields because it gets as hot as the sun on Reentry. This is one of the science problems they have to deal with. You're right.
But that doesn't prove that it broke the barrier. That proved that it went up very high enough to where you can't see it anymore, and it came back down. It doesn't prove it broke the stratosphere.
What would prove it for
proved
you?
It went up.
Why would we put it on all this show? Like, why would that? Sounds harder than actually going to space, to like put on this massive show and try to fool all these people. You might as well actually put all that work into going to space.
Well, I really do believe that it's definitely worth faking. Before I get into that, let me ask you this. Do you believe the original moon landing was real, or do you think that was staged? You think that was real?
I have no reason to believe it was staged.
Okay, so here's the thing with that. With the moon landing, it wasn't just that they went on the moon and orbited it. They actually landed on the moon, walked on the moon, and then got the rocket ship to launch again back on Earth.
Right.
That's not a little,
really
that's not a little eyebrow raising to you? As much as it takes just to launch a rocket from Earth, you got it to space and back.
Well, what happened is they launched the rocket from Earth. It separates, so it's a much smaller thing that's going to the moon. And then there's three guys, Buzz Aldrin and Lance Armstrong. I forget the third guy's name. The third guy stayed on the thing that orbited around the moon. They send a little moon lander, so it was a very small thing down to the moon with Buzz Aldrin and Lance Armstrong. And then that launches off the moon to meet back up with the orbiter. And like, if you've ever seen Interstellar or Gravity or any of those movies where they're like maneuvering, or The Martian is the best one, where they're like, he has to connect his capsule to the other thing and it's like spinning out of control. Like, that's what they did in real life to link this thing back up. And then, they went back to the Earth.
I don't want to disrespect anybody at NASA. The science behind it is real. The people working on this rocket leaving.
Hold on. So what do you think is going on right now with Artemis II? Well, I mean, as we're recording this, I think they landed already, but
yeah, I think
what do you think happened
now? I mean, what I said earlier, that it actually launched. It went up very high on the planet Earth, and it just orbited around.
But
and it came back.
But it supposedly went around the moon. You don't think China, Russia, they have every reason right now. Iran has every reason to call us out right now. Like, why wouldn't anyone say anything? They have technology, they have telescopes, they have things to see what happened with the spaceship.
Because they're in on it too.
If any of it was a lie, there would be scientists out there like, no, that's not true. That's not the way this system works. That's not the, but like, there'd be some inconsistencies in their story.
But there are inconsistencies.
What are the inconsistencies? I'm sorry.
Look, I mean, obviously we don't have time to go through all of it.
We got all the time in the world, bro. We can edit this. We can chop this up. Like,
I mean, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on what the specific consistencies are, but my point is that science and math it's all based on calculations and things like that, and all of that stuff can be manipulated to meet what we need. These scientists are doing real work, and I think information is being told on a real need-to-know basis. And I also think that some of these people that's flying in the rocket ships, they might genuinely think they're in space, because once you get high enough, it kind of looks like space. So
but they went around the moon. But like to your point, there's actually a TV show where they chose a bunch of people and said, hey, we're taking you to space. And they literally faked the whole thing. They faked the training. They put them on a quote unquote rocket ship and sent them into space. They thought, so like they put them on one of those simulator arms or whatever it was. But like they literally thought they were in space until a week later, they do this big surprise. And like, it like half the people were like torn apart psychologically because they genuinely thought they were in space. So if that was what you were saying, maybe like no, I still wouldn't agree with you, but that's possible. But I just don't see like not a single whistleblower, because there'd have to be so many people in on it, and there's not a single person who's like, actually this really suspect thing happened that I had to do.
There are whistleblowers. They just don't have enough power to where they're broadcasted to the
They're wearing tinfoil hats, bro. Like,
no, dude, there's been people that's worked on NASA or that's been a part of it that have came out and said it's some fishy stuff going on. But they just, you know, people are gonna believe the majority. A part of it has to be instinctively what you believe, because there's really, in my opinion, there's not enough evidence to confirm either way whether we went or not. And I will also admit that philosophically, I just think that humans were meant to be on this planet. I think once you get into space, you start getting into potentially different realities. But my point is that I just don't believe humans were meant to leave this earth.
that's very similar to if you've ever played like the old GTAs, where it's like you start the game and there's this big city, but you're locked to a certain section until you complete these missions, and then you unlock more of the city. But it's very possible that if we live in a simulation, there is a limit to how far we can actually go, because there's a limit to the map size or whatever you want to call it. But I think that's much bigger than the Earth. I think that's called the observable universe, but that's a different story.
Yeah, and all right, shout out. I was watching Malcolm in the Middle today. They just did a reboot. Okay. And I actually went back and watched the first episode, and I forgot this happened. But if you watch the very first episode of the original Malcolm in the Middle, I'm gonna paraphrase, I don't remember the exact quote, but the episode starts with they're showing the Earth, and Malcolm basically he says, even if he wanted to walk every part of the Earth, it would be impossible in his lifetime to do that. So, I mean, and I'm not saying that proves my point, but what I'm saying is, I think that proves that like we have more than enough we need on Earth. If we use it properly. I don't think we're using it properly, but we have more than enough on this planet.
That's if he walks the Earth, though. If he flew over the Earth, he could cover it all.
Yeah, maybe if he flew, but if you're flying,
if he uses technology, he can do it. That's my.
But if you're even with technology, there's a barrier that's bigger than technology.
What do you think about the International Space Station? There's normally like 2 humans on. You said cap?
That's BS. Yes, BS. BS. I'm calling it right now. BS, man. I think we're just curious. I think as humans, we're just curious about space. And I think and it's almost like Santa Claus, man. We just want to keep that going. It makes people feel good. It does so many good things. Like nobody wants to break that. And we spend a ton of money on it, right? And they're like, hey, keep it going.
But like, why would these people who come back from the International Space Station, it's must like this, like 2 of them every few months go up there and, you know, switch off. So like at least 100 people now, none of them have said anything.
Again, man, I think the information is told on need to know basis. Elaborate conspiracies are not above the government. You said
about
before,
those videos like of them floating and they're like doing stuff in space floating. They're like
the biggest BS on the planet. They're like doing like somersaults and stuff in space. Cap. A lot of people don't understand the different layers once you go high up. Like when you're on an airplane, you're nowhere near as high as you could go.
Yeah,
like it's way higher and it gets dark and it kind of looks like space. So I think people could really think they're in space. So like, I think here's what I'll say. The videos where they're showing like people flipping in the air or if they're outside of the spaceship, I think they're just very high up on Earth. The videos where they're showing that people are like walking on the moon or walking on Mars, that's fake.
That no one has been to Mars. I'm telling you that. People have been to the moon. Right. People have been to the moon. All right, good. Agreed. Good.
No, we don't agree. We'll agree to disagree. But why don't we let the people decide in the comments? Let us know has humans ever left Earth? Yes or no, and why not? Let us know in the comments.
And subscribe before episode 1 of Adventures of Bull and Bear drops May 4th. We have something special in store, so stay tuned and remember,
this is all just for Stocks and Giggles.